Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. This video we're gonna be commenting, analyzing and dissecting Wendi Adelson's cross-examination, the first one. Let's go for it.
I want to talk about your location on the day of Mr. Markel's murder. You know that law enforcement looked at your phone and sort of looked at your movements that day?
Yes.
Okay. And if that information indicates you were home at the Aqua Ridge residence at approximately 12:27 in the afternoon that day. Is that correct?
I don't remember exactly what time, but that sounds right. I know I had left to meet some friends for lunch.
Whenever she smiles, this particular smile, like she used it to explain that she couldn't be on Skype with her kids talking to their father because it's very hard to be on Skype with toddlers. So she smiled this way. I think she uses this smile to imply you're asking me too much details. I'm such a busy woman. I drive a minivan and I'm a simple woman.
So I guess I had left. I was home until that time. That sounds right.
All right. So it seems like kind of around lunchtime, about half afternoon.
Sure.
All right. And then shortly after that, at 12:29, it appears you're traveling on Centerville Road. Is that a normal way that you would ingress and egress from your Aqua Ridge residence?
That sounds right.
All right. And when you left your residence, you said you were going to lunch. Did you go directly to lunch?
No, I stopped and made a purchase for a party that I was supposed to attend first.
And what was that purchase?
It was my first time purchasing bourbon. It was for not a bridal shower. It was for a bachelor. No, it was for a wedding party.
Why do we care? Why does the prosecution care about this information, whether it's a bridal shower or a pregnancy, gender reveal, or a stalk your mouth, blah, blah, blah? Why do we care? And you're an attorney. You're supposed to know that these details do not matter. You know exactly why is she asking you that. Just say the truth, which is you went to buy an alcoholic drink and that's it. I mean, why do you have to go into details and details about this just to make a story for the jury so that the jury doesn't really concentrate on the idea that the prosecution is trying to get them to know? Like, for example, now we'll see something now.
Party, but it was the bride and groom together, and they had asked for people to buy certain alcohol to help them.
A stock the bar party.
A stock the bar party. I forgot what it's called.
Okay. And do you remember what type of bourbon you purchased?
I don't.
Bullet bourbon sound familiar?
Maybe.
Do you remember what kind of bourbon did you purchase? It's impossible that she doesn't remember what kind of bourbon she purchased. I mean, it's impossible because the name of the bourbon is Bullet Bourbon. What is this coincidence? Let's say it's a coincidence, which don't you think it's a very odd coincidence for you to forget? Why would you forget such a thing? If I was in her place, I would be like, whoa, what a coincidence. Like, I just bought a Bullet Bourbon and my ex just was killed by a bullet. If I was really authentic, I would be like, that's weird, and I would point out how weird this coincidence is. I wouldn't hide the fact that I bought a Bullet Bourbon. Why would I hide this fact? It's kind of like a story.
They had a list of what they wanted, and so I asked the person at the store if they had whatever kind it was.
Okay. And do you recall where you went to purchase the alcohol?
I think I went on Thomasville Road at ABC Liquor.
Okay. Is there a reason you went to that particular store?
No, I don't know many liquor stores. That was the first one that popped up.
All right. And you made that purchase according to the receipt that was in your vehicle at 12:49. Does that sound about right to you?
That sounds right.
Okay. And did you make any stops between leaving your residence and going to the liquor store?
Maybe I purchased gas?
I don't know if you did or not, but I'm referring to your visit to the crime scene.
I did not visit the crime scene.
You did not pull up to the crime scene tape on Truscott Drive?
No. I was driving up.
She was like, no, what are you talking about? What are you, no, no. But you already said it, it's already there. We have proof. You said it in your own words.
On Centerville Road, and sometimes I would take the shortcut through Truscott.
Yes, ma'am.
But when I was driving on Centerville Road, I saw some sort of tape or obstruction, and so I didn't turn.
Okay.
Do you notice how much she shakes her head whenever she's asked something that panics her? She keeps on shaking her head even after answering the question.
And then you went from the liquor store straight to the restaurant?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right. What restaurant was that?
What was the name of that restaurant?
Mosaic?
Mosaic.
Who had your kids the morning that Mr. Markel was killed?
The kids were at preschool.
But I mean, at what home did they wake up that day?
That morning, I think they were at Danny's house.
Anyone and everyone involved in this murder, the audacity they have to know that the kids of this person are at preschool. And after he dropped his kids, it's very disturbing for me to know that after he dropped his kids, they had to go and do the mission, which is kill him. The problem is that everyone involved in this case have kids. So everyone involved in this case know the feeling of being a parent.
Do you remember your mom suggesting a plan to offer Danny $1 million to allow the relocation of you and the children to South Florida? Objection.
Overruled.
I'm sure I knew about it at the time that it happened, and then I had my memory refreshed about it recently.
Did you ever make the offer to Mr. Markel?
No.
So Donna suggested to offer Dan $1 million in order for him to allow her and the kids to move back to Miami. This offer really tells you everything you need to know about Donna and how she thinks. Donna thinks that everything can be bought by money. That's the reality of it. This case proves it. Also, the offer, you're offering $1 million for a father. So his problem was just money, you think? So he would shut up just by having money? For me as a parent, if someone comes and offers me such a deal or whatever, like take $1 million, but let your husband move out of the city that you're living in, and with your kids, I would be offended. I would be, what are you talking about? This has nothing to do with money. $1 million can never replace that, the relationship between a father and a son. But unfortunately, Donna, she thinks that she can buy anything with money.
Did you move to South Florida after their father was killed with the children?
So after he was killed, I packed a weekend bag and went to South Florida for what I thought would be a couple of days, maybe a week. My son's birthday was July 29th, and I thought we'd be back in Tallahassee by then.
Did you ever come back?
I did come back a few times, but not permanently.
Okay, so you ended up moving there permanently.
I wouldn't say it's permanent, but I'm living there right now.
Really?
Well, it's been 5 years.
It has been a while. I've been exploring options for employment in many different places.
Okay.
That's the biggest lie that Wendi Adelson has said, in my personal, humble opinion. Because we all know that she hated Tallahassee. I mean, okay, you hate Tallahassee. You talk about hating Tallahassee all the time. And then you go into a legal fight with your husband just because you want to go from Tallahassee to Miami. It doesn't work out. Your mom suggests to offer him $1 million in order for him to let you go. It still doesn't work out. A crime happened. He was killed. Dan Markel was killed because you wanted to get out of Tallahassee. And then, 2 days later after the murder, you pack and you go to Tallahassee, and you go from Tallahassee to Miami, and you never come back. I mean, you come back few times, as you said, but like, you're making it seem as if, yeah, like my heart will always be in Tallahassee. No, you just left Tallahassee, and I don't think you're ever coming back. And what's the definition of permanently then? I wouldn't say permanently. Then what would you say? You did all of this so you can have help, you can be next to your parents, and now you're saying you're exploring options for employment? People weren't born yesterday.
And when you initially left to go to South Florida, was that the same day as the funeral service for your husband?
No.
The day after?
It might have been the day after or the day after that. I don't remember.
Normal. So her kids knew probably that their mom and their dad had legal issues between each other just for the custody, even after the custody, because at one point they had like 50-50 after the custody about moving out of Tallahassee or not. I suspect that they knew about it, the boys, especially that we know from the Markel's family. We know they were told by their grandma, oh, your father wants to take my sunshine away and whatever. So they were exposed to fights between their mother and their father, and the hate that the Adelson family had for the Markel family, at least from Donna Adelson, that we know for sure. They were exposed to that hate. And then their father was killed. The next day of the funeral, you just left Tallahassee forever to Miami. Is this normal for the kids? I mean, how do you do that to your children? How do you take them out of their home? One day after the funeral, you just leave him there by himself in Tallahassee. Don't you think that they would feel like our father is buried here, or like we just did the funeral and next day we left him all by himself in Tallahassee and went away? Is this normal?
Did you change your children's last name from Markel to Adelson?
I did.
When was that done?
So, after Danny died, there was a lot of press coverage, and CNN put pictures of my children's faces unblurred on national television. Newspapers put their names without any consideration to the fact that they're children. And
I appreciate that, but the question is when did you change their name?
When they started school, I registered them under my name, hoping it would keep them safe.
Mm-hmm. And was that approximately a year after their dad was killed?
It was whenever I registered them for school, so it was soon after. But I didn't legally change their name until after that.
Okay.
So she's claiming that she changed their last name just to keep them safe because their faces were put unblurred on CNN and on newspaper. Their names were there and whatever. But isn't it that in the media, the Adelson family is much more known as a name, much more than the Markel? I mean, when you talk about the Dan Markel case, immediately it comes up Adelson, Wendi Adelson, Charlie Adelson, Donna Adelson, 3 people from the Adelson family in the news talking about them all the time, and in the media talking about them all the time. I mean, even for me, when I want to see something on the case, I rarely put Markel, honestly. I just put Adelson and it comes up everything. What I'm trying to say is that the name of the Adelson family has been up there since the crime happened. It's linked to the crime in a very tight way. What do you mean? Like, I would understand if her name or her last name wasn't dragged into the crime or whatever, that she will change the name of the boys, but it's even worse when you say Adelson. So you're saying the purpose is to protect them, but that wouldn't protect them. That wouldn't do anything. It would make it worse. And what a move! What a move for the kids. Like, after our father was killed, our mother changed our last name. That I cannot even imagine what these boys are going through in their heads.
And where did they start school? When you say you changed their name when they started school, what was that, here in Tallahassee or somewhere else?
No, it was in South Florida.
So that fall, they started regular enrollment. And did you also eliminate your older son's middle name?
When I legally changed their names, I did.
And you just dropped that from the name?
I did.
Okay. And that was a name that came from Dan Markel's deceased maternal grandmother, is that correct?
The name started with an A, which was to honor my grandfather, Aaron Adelson, and the second half of his name was to honor Danny's grandmother.
Okay.
So we lost an honor to both families.
Okay, thank you. No further questions.
Well, proceed.
I mean, I have to say, she is savage. Really. The audacity to change the names and to change, like, to drop one of the names that was a tribute to his great grandma. But, like, how can you do this, really, when all the fingers are kind of pointing at you and everyone's looking at you?
Ms. Adelson, I represent Mr. Garcia, and I'm going to ask you some questions, okay?
Okay.
Charlie's your older brother or younger brother?
I'm the youngest in the family, so both my brothers are my older brothers.
And how many years older is Charlie than you?
He's approximately 3 years older.
Would you describe your relationship with your brother as a close relationship?
I would.
Have Charlie graduated high school?
He did.
College?
He did.
Dental school?
He did.
So he has substantial educational background?
Yes.
Would you consider him to be book smart?
He did very well in his classes.
So that would potentially be
yes.
yes. What about street smart? Do you think he was kind of street smart?
If this question was to me, then I would say that he was trying very hard to be street smart, but it blew up in his face because he's not smart.
He's good with people.
And would it be fair to say that he has a wide range of friends, different types of friends?
He has a lot of friends.
Would you say, are there certain friends that he goes out nightclubbing with?
I don't know. He doesn't talk to me about night clubbing.
For sure, yeah, no. He doesn't. Never.
Well, when he has social events, do you ever go out with him socially?
I haven't in a long time. I'm pretty busy with my kids. But I have once or twice gone out with him.
And is it the same types of friends that he goes out to these social events with?
He would usually go with his roommate, who's I don't think they're living together anymore, but they lived together for a while.
Would you agree with me that your brother Charlie was I don't want to call him like a socialite, but he would frequent the nightclub scene?
I honestly don't know that.
You don't? You don't. You really don't know that. Really? Okay.
So your single brother is a pretty handsome guy, right?
I think he's handsome.
Right. We've seen this.
Her answer to this, in this attitude, like smiling and all, like, it's like as if someone is flirting with Charlie in front of her, you know?
Pictures, good-looking guy. Never been married, right?
No.
And what kind of car does he have?
For a while, what does he have? What is he driving right now? Cars. Like
he has a lot of cars, right? And these aren't like Hondas or Toyotas. They're Mercedeses and Ferraris, right?
He drove an unmarked police car for a while.
But that wasn't my question. My question was, did he ever have a Mercedes?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, and it wasn't like a C300. It was like a 5 Series, right?
I honestly don't know anything about cars.
Well, it was the bigger Mercedes, right?
It was big.
It was the bigger one. And he also had a Ferrari, right?
I know he had one really fancy car, but I don't remember what what brand it was.
So you're telling this jury that you don't remember if your brother had a Ferrari?
Cars are really not important to me. You saw mine. I drove a minivan.
Well, but you're not your brother, right?
I am not my brother. No, I knew he had a fancy car. I just don't remember if it was a Porsche or if it was a Ferrari. It was something fancy.
Something kind of fancy,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Seriously. She lies about very small stuff that makes you be like, why are you doing this? Why would you be unauthentic in these situations? I mean, why wouldn't you say that, yes, he drove a Ferrari? I mean, you want to tell me, you want to convince me that you don't know that he had a Ferrari? You want, like, it's not a usual car, a Ferrari. It's not a Prius. Everyone would know in the family that someone has a Ferrari. There's a difference between Ferrari and Porsche. You cannot tell me that you don't know the difference, or you cannot recognize the difference, or that when he bought the Ferrari, you don't think that he was very excited about it and he was talking about it all the time. I mean, imagine this, someone like Charlie, someone that's like show off and like, ooh, la, la, he would buy a Ferrari and just be silent about it. I think that he just kept talking about the Ferrari all the time, before getting the Ferrari, while getting the Ferrari, and after getting the Ferrari. People who drive these kind of cars and with the mindset of Charlie are like, they drive the Ferrari for reasons, but one of the reasons is kind of show off, like, see me, I'm driving a Ferrari. I'm sure he just made it sure that everyone in Florida knew that he was driving a Ferrari. And now she's like, yeah, I drive a minivan. I'm such a naive woman. I'm just like I wouldn't know that he drives a Ferrari. I don't know about cars. So why lie about these things? This is the problem. Like, when you see her lying about small stuff like that, you're like, why?
So you have a pretty successful brother, right?
He's successful, yeah.
And he likes to show off his success with his extravagant cars, correct?
He likes fancy cars.
Okay. Handsome guy, in good shape, right?
He's handsome.
And you indicated that he had a lot of girlfriends, right?
Yes.
So now we know.
Now I know you didn't go clubbing with him.
So now we know what, like, he's trying to paint who is Charlie Adelson for the jury. Now we know what kind of person he is, kind of.
But were you aware that he would go to like Miami Beach a lot?
I mean,
or South Beach?
Sure. I mean, I couldn't say how often he went out or where he was going. It's just not something I would really talk to him about.
So tell us, what do you talk about? I mean, you were pretty close with your brother, that your brother would say something like, oh, I found that getting a TV is cheaper than hiring a hitman to kill your ex just because he's bothering you. To be that defensive, that means that you are pretty close to him, and like the first time that you went out of the house, supposedly, allegedly, like you said, was with him. You chose him to go out with the first time after your ex-husband was killed. So you maintained a pretty close relationship with each other, and like so you don't talk about this, where he went, where he clubbed, like, I would understand if he would say he talks a lot and sometimes I don't pay attention and I forget. Okay, I would be like, oh, okay, sure, yes, why not? But you are telling me that you don't talk about this kind of stuff. I mean, it's not about whether you know that he go clubbing there or not. It's about the reason why you don't know that he goes clubbing there or not. The reason that you said that you don't talk about it with him. So what do you talk about? Finance? Banking? So this was part 2 of my commentary on Wendi Adelson's cross-examination, the first one. I'm going to continue on doing the part 3, part 4, and maybe part 5 also. Until I finish all the commentary on Wendi Adelson. If you like to see something else, some other content, like commenting on other things, please suggest to me in the comment box. And thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. Goodbye.